Adina here. I wanted to talk to you. If you are somebody who's working on the computer for hours at a time because of your work, and most of the time this is going to be someone who is doing data entry, any kind of computer work for hours, like 6 to 8 hours a day, you might be someone who's starting to have some problems. Now, being in the workman's comp setting, about 6 years ago, I was surprised at the number of people who were having problems that were doing even charting on a computer as a nurse, or a person who was working in the bank, and of course, like I said, data entry. And these pain problems can be prevented. Now, what's alarming to me though is that, again, that was 6 years ago, and I kind of thought that companies were kind of getting hold of some an understanding about how to help their employees to not have as many problems. Well, that is not holding true. So I am coming on because I want to kind of share with you some things that you can do. This is just kind of an overview. It's going to be just something to kind of get you going. But if you are someone who's been working on a computer and you are having pain, a lot of times it's kind of in the wrist, and it's being termed that it's carpal tunnel almost automatically. But there are different ways that you can have pain in the hand, wrist area that are not necessarily related to carpal tunnel. There can be some nerve irritation that's going on, but the carpal tunnel is only one single nerve. You have 3 different nerves that come down to your hand. But I don't want to make this, I just want to make this kind of where I'm giving you a little insight and some things to start looking at doing, and some tools. So when you're looking at being at the computer and you're starting to have pain in the wrist and eventually to the elbow, and if you let it go too long, it's going to go up to your shoulder and neck, then you need to start attacking the problem where it's creeping in. And a lot of what's happening is that you're getting a loss in your range of motion at your wrist itself, which really reflects that your muscle bellies up here are getting tight. And so one of the things I have people do is they look at their range of motion. Your range of motion should look like this. When your fingers are straight and your wrist is flexed, we call this flex downward. Your range of motion, if you make a fist, should still look like this, okay? And I get a lot of people who are having pain and they're like this, or they're like this. They don't have full range of motion. And that tells me there's some tightness on that back end of the forearm, kind of up to that elbow, which people kind of are familiar with having a tennis elbow problem. The other range of motion is going to be having the arm out in front of you, and you should be able to drop your fingers downward. Many times, if people are starting to have problems, their range is like this. So just those range of motions tells me that you need to start stretching. And so a good stretch for you to do for the arm is either, if you can't make a fist while your hand is out in front of you and you can't close your fingers when you drop them, then start with the fingers straight, bring the fingers pointed down, and then you're going to stretch into this. Now, I like a particular way of stretching because it's not as painful. So you're going to inhale as you prepare to the stretch, and then you're going to exhale as you move into the position, and you're going to 1, 2, add additional stretch with the other hand, okay? So inhale, exhale, 1, 2, okay? Inhale, exhale, 1, 2. So your original initial goals are going to be to increase that range of motion through here and to increase your range of motion through here. I'm going to give you some basic starters, okay, because there's more that needs to be done, but this is to kind of get you started if you are starting to have problems with your pain, especially if you've been working in a home office setting and you do not even have the ergonomic setup that you would probably have in an office. But even in the regular commercial offices, they're not really being set up properly. People are just not learning how to take care of their bodies. So that is where you're going to start to stretch to get more flexibility, okay? The other thing though is that you are usually developing and you're overdeveloped in your muscles here at the top of the forearm, kind of along that side of the belly of the forearm. And if you feel through there, squeeze through there, you're going to probably find some areas that are going to be very, very uncomfortable and painful, and that are very tight. And a lot of times people are hypertrophied. It means that they've used these muscles, so much, they have a bit of a bulkier muscle in that area. And so for you to start to calm down your symptoms, you want to start to reduce the tension in the area and to get rid of trigger points. So what are trigger points? Trigger points are spots in your tissue that are either ropey, I call them guitar strings, or they're like knots in your tissue. And so when you have those kind of changes in your muscle, that is creating a choking off of good blood flow. And so that's why you get achy. And then when you also have those kind of tightnesses in the muscle, you are going to start losing your range of motion. So the stretching is one part of it, but what you want to attack as well are the tight, bulky knots or guitar strings that you're going to find on the arm. And it's going to be on the back of the arm, but it also can be up through the front end of the arm as well. Now, I have some tools that I like to use, and this is just an example of a little knobber. And what I like to do is I get into the area of the arm that is sore and ropey, and you can go across it, back and forth. You can go up and down. You can make circles on it. But what you want to start to do is getting this tissue to loosen up. Now, when we work these tissues and we're starting to break up the tightness and adhesions, now what I find is that, because they're so bound, you may not get to the point where they're like 100%, like not even ropey anymore. But as you're working through this and you're improving the flexibility of it, you're getting better blood flow, you will start to see that the pain itself will go down, and that you will have some relieving of the tightness and the tension. But it may not be like it was when you were, can't even say 20, because I have 20-year-old people who are coming in with arm problems, but 15. So as you see, I'm just kind of working the muscle up and down, okay? And this is so helpful. And then what's nice though is if you were to start your treatment with this, and it's kind of be a little bit like exquisite pain sometimes, don't be afraid of it. That's good pain. So if you work the muscles out, and then you go and do more stretching, okay, then that's going to help you get length and to relieve that tightness, and so that you have better flexibility down at your wrist, and then you're getting better blood flow, and that's going to help with relieving your pain. Now, coming up a little more specifically, you hear about the tennis elbow, and most people kind of know you find a little bone along the side of the elbow, and when you palpate or touch in that area, if you are having problems down through this area, then you're going to have that real high point of exquisite pain. That needs attention. And so what you will do on that is you will go across those fibers. And, mine doesn't hurt. But for people who, when it hurts, you're kind of like, oh my word. But it is important. It's something that has to be done for you to start to relieve where the tendon attaches to that bone. Okay? So those are some things that you can do to get started. That is not everything. But right now, I want you to get started with starting to relieve the pain that you're beginning to have, or to relieve the pain that you've been having in the arm. There's more that can be done, that needs to be done, but these are starters. But the other thing I want to share with you are a couple of tools. So one of the things I like to use are things that can relieve tissue pain and help the pain to recover. And this is the DePain salve that I make, and it works well. I use it on people in the clinic, and it's very relieving, and it just feels good. It just feels good. Brings circulation into the tissue, helps to relieve the pain because there's analgesics in it, but it also helps with tissue recovery. I have aloe vera in it because aloe vera is a cell proliferant. You want new, healthy tissue when things are repairing, okay? So this is a way for you to maximize that recovery. The other thing I like is an infrared wand. So this wand is your red light, okay? As you see, it's a red light. And what I do is I will apply this to especially the areas where, like right on the tennis elbow area, where it's very, very exquisite pain. But I also like to apply it to those real sore spots that you find along your arm, okay? Infrared penetrates deeply. It increases your oxygen level, increases your blood flow when it, and that brings in more oxygen, improves the mitochondria. It's an anti-inflammatory. It helps to calm down pain. And when you combine this with the DePain salve, it gives you great results. So between this, and an infrared wand, and I will leave some descriptors in the link, some links in the descriptor. If you are able to attack this with those elements to get you started, it's going to kind of help you get along the path of recovery. Now, like I said, there's more to this, and I will be giving more information about how to do that. But if this is helpful, then I would appreciate if you would like and subscribe and give me a comment. Tell me, what are you doing? I kind of know some things that some of you are dealing with, but I want to hear from you. What are you dealing with when it comes to your forearm pain? Are you getting tingling? Are you getting, like this unrelenting achiness? Is your shoulder starting to bother you? Is your neck starting to bother you? Are you getting headaches? So these are all the different things that can come along with a person having problems with working on a computer for extended time frames. And so this is to get you started, but I want you to learn how to be proactive about keeping things from getting worse. But I also want you to understand that you're going to have to do kind of a whole program in order to recuperate. Now, I have a very, very potent way that I like people to reduce their pain, and it is by doing contrast showers. And I have a video, I will put the video somewhere around here so that you can look at that video and understand how to do hot and cold. So if you're somebody, I once had a banker who, when he came in, it still kind of blows my mind, because I just couldn't understand how a person allows himself to get to the point where you couldn't even touch his skin lightly without him having quivering levels of pain. But I get people who are like that. I had a lady this week who had she does waxing. And so she, gets booked. And I think she said she had, I don't know, it was like 50 or 75 clients or something in one day. And she's like one of the most experienced wax technicians. I don't know what the title would be, but she just got to the point where, she can barely move her hand. It doesn't have to be like that, people. Okay, so I'm here because I want you to find different ways of coping with the pain levels. And for people like that, I teach them about doing the hot and cold. Now, some of them do it, some of them don't. And unfortunately, the ones that are continuing to suffer are the ones who just refuse to do it. And because it's so simple, but it's so powerful. And people who, when I've instructed them to do it, they get results. So if you want to nip your pain down with the quickness, then please check out the video about doing contrast water treatments. All right, so I hope you found this helpful, and I'll be back with more information.